Hey, welcome back to Reddit Cheating Wife, the best channel for cheating stories. Like and subscribe to the channel for cheating stories like this.
My 43 male, ex-wife 38 female, won't stop interfering and sabotaging any relationship I try to have. I'd want to provide you with some background information. A man she met at the gym in early 2017 became my ex-new wife's lover after she cheated on me on several occasions. By June of this year, we had finalized our divorce. After our divorce, I discovered that she had slept with a handful of other men before we split up with her husband. Apparently, half of our little town was aware of what was going on, but no one felt it was their place to express their concerns to me or to anybody else. In any case, the person she left me for turned out to be a very dangerous individual. It wasn't until towards the end of 2017 that she finally admitted what was going on and requested my aid. I informed her that she was welcome to come back and live with the kids and me, and that I would do all in my power to help her get away from the abuse. Following many months of her getting dragged back into the violent guy friend's life and traveling back and forth between our house and the roadside motel where the boy buddy slept, she requested me to drop the divorce. I told her that I was unable to do so at this time. It was my intention to tell her that she could continue to live with us for as long as she needed, even after the divorce was finalized, but that the divorce had to be finalized first. Because she knows I will not back down the divorce, she has set out to make my life as miserable as she possibly can for the foreseeable future. We have 4 children, and she has wrecked every connection I tried with her. She also talks poorly about me in front of our children, sometimes even directly to them. She has followed up with the women I've dated, requesting personal information from each of them, full legal name, home address, phone number, and social security number. She said that she had a legal right to their information, and that she was legally entitled to do a background check on anybody who would be alone with our children or who would be driving them anywhere at any time. She disparages anybody she sees in front of our children, and she does this in front of our children. She had a habit of showing up at my house unannounced and walking in without first ringing the doorbell or knocking on it. If she found out I was out with someone I was dating, she would start harassing me through text and email, claiming there was some kind of disagreement concerning our children. If she knew I was at home with someone I was dating during her parenting week, she would show up to my house unannounced and let the kids rush through the front door to get to her. These are just a few examples of the many things she does. Recent court appearances have been made by her in an effort to recover full custody of our children from me. We presently have a 50/50 split between the two of us. Since my divorce, I've only had relationships with 3 other women. The first girl I dated was someone I met a week or so after my divorce and became friends with. We became friends and remained friends for the first few months of our relationship. We were both in the process of divorce proceedings at the time, and I had recently finished mine. When we first met, I informed her that I wasn't ready to start dating, and she agreed with me. Because we were not romantically involved at the time, she had met my children throughout this time period. We started dating as our feelings for one another became stronger. However, our relationship only lasted a few months before we broke up. She had an altercation with my ex-wife at one point. During 1 week of my parenting time, I was at work, and my children were staying with my parents at the time. My children expressed an interest in playing at my female friend's house, so my female companion went to collect them. As soon as my ex-wife realized that my children were not at my parents' house, she became concerned and demanded to know where they had gone. I informed her that they were having a good time with other children at a friend's house. She demanded my woman friend's personal information right immediately, claiming that she had the legal right to do a background check on her and that she had no choice. I, of course, told her that I would not be supplying her with the information she requested of me. As a result, she became so enraged that she came to my parents' house and requested that our children be given to them immediately. As a precaution, my female friend drove my children back to my parents' house so that there would be no misunderstandings. My ex-wife was waiting for me in the driveway when I returned home. She jumped in my woman friend's face and started yelling and cursing at her in front of the children almost as soon as she saw her. She had inquired about one of my female acquaintances and wanted personal details about her. Despite the fact that she was uncomfortable sharing the information, my female friend said that she would follow her motherly instincts and would never longer drive or be alone with my children in the future. My ex didn't seem to care and said that she had a legal right to this information since she had previously chauffeured the group. My father had to interfere because he was concerned that my ex-wife might assault my girlfriend and he needed to protect her. My female companion ended our connection as a result of this since she couldn't bear the thought of having it in her life. I couldn't say I blamed her for anything. This day is still quite near to our hearts. I didn't date anybody until around 8 months afterwards. This was an almost a year-long romance. I remembered my last, brief, relationship and tried all in my power to keep my ex-wife away from this lady. When this lady met my children, and they began telling her mother how much they loved her, the pestering began. My ex-wife came up to my house one night when she realized I wasn't home and my girlfriend was alone with my children. My ex-wife arrived into my home without knocking or ringing the doorbell and started harassing my girlfriend in front of the kids, demanding personal information from her. My lady friend sought to have the talk transferred to another room away from the kids, but my former wife insisted on their being there. My lady friend was under great duress and ended up disclosing all of her personal information to my ex-wife. Needless to say, it didn't take long for my ex-wife to start messaging and contacting my girlfriend. My ex would constantly complain about me to her. Of course, this was creating huge issues in our relationship. Because of this, as well as other concerns in our relationship, I chose to terminate it. We're also still buddies today. Now, onto the primary point of this piece. I began dating someone in October of last year. Getting to know this individual has been an incredible experience. We connected on so many different levels. I've never been in a relationship like this before in my life. There was no red sign, no fight, simply a great connection. My ex-wife began pestering me again as soon as she discovered I was seeing someone. I was successful in keeping my new relationship hidden from my ex. They had never met or spoken to one another. So since my ex-wife couldn't undermine in that manner, she began speaking negatively about this lady to our children. She would tell our kid that I no longer cared about him and that all I wanted to do was spend time with my new girlfriend and her 4-year-old son. She'd tell our girls that I didn't care about them anymore since all I wanted to do was hang out with my new girlfriend. My lady companion had not even met my children at this point, so I didn't see my lady buddy at all throughout my parenting weeks. My ex-wife began telling horrific falsehoods about my lady friend and her kid at a court hearing for our current custody dispute, telling the court that she is rude to my children and does not respect them, that her 4-year-old son is awful, and that all of my children informed my ex-wife that they despised my girlfriend. Of course, it was all a lie. My girlfriend had only been around my kids a total of 8 times at the time of this court hearing. She invited people over for dinner a few times with her kid, and we ran into her and her son at a few parks. Unfortunately, while I was on the Zoom call for this court hearing, my girlfriend was in the next room. As a result, she heard everything spoken about her. This was the start of the end of our relationship. She stopped it a few weeks later, saying that she loved me but couldn't stand having that type of in her life. I'm at a loss as to how to persuade my ex-wife to quit doing what she's doing. I brought it up in court, spoken to my lawyer, and sent letters and messages to my ex-wife pleading with her to stop, but nothing seems to work. Update. The judge has rendered his ruling. He has opted to preserve the custody arrangement at 50/50 after consulting with our children. He said that there had been little change in circumstances to justify amending the existing agreement. The court had heard the testimony of 2 women I had previously dated who had testified to my ex-harassment. Waxy also saw firsthand how my ex-wife and her lawyer attempted to undermine my previous relationship. During the interview, my son informed the judge that my previous relationship had terminated as a consequence of what the judge had observed. The court chastised my ex-wife and her lawyer once again and reminded her that the harassment had to stop. Unfortunately, that was the extent of it. I'll now investigate what I need to do to get a restraining order. It's possible that I'll need to employ another lawyer to get things done.